feeling so small. Watch the clock ticking off the wall. But tonight I'm letting it go. Spend my coin for sure. I'm gonna be myself, or I could be someone else. No one's stopping me now.
Hi everyone, welcome. If you're new here, welcome. If you're my Patreon subscribers, welcome back. So for today's video, we're going to focus on how Africa saved us along with the Green Revolution. So this is going to be a very positive and uplifting reading. At the end of today's video, we will have a little pick a tree reading where you have little messages inside the little tree to resemble climate, our climate. So anyway, let's begin. This is being live streamed right now at March 25th, 2022 at 11:11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is 11:11 right now when I'm recording this. So thank you all of you guys who showed up for our night live. If you are just watching some replay, thank you for tuning in. So if you're interested in booking a reading with me, just check the description below. Everything will be in the description along with a discount if you would like that. Here's some disclaimers on your screen right now. You can either choose to watch them on your own time or ignore them, whatever you want to do. This video is just for entertainment purposes only and for education purposes only as well. This will be a short live, I promise you. All right, everything will be timestamped in the description below if you want to, jump to certain sections of today's video. All right, let's begin. If you have questions, feel free to put them in the live chat. So, again, all these questions will be put in the description, okay? It's going to be very short yet brief. All right, so tell us something positive about the future in terms of our climate change. So let's take a look at our climate overall. What is that going to look like positively? Let's take a look what Spirit has to say in terms of our climate in a positive way. Take a look. Spirit Angel, tell us something positive about our climate. Now, if you're not familiar why we're covering this video, a while back, I got that Africa was going to be part of the new revolution, the Green Revolution, that brings forth new changes and new methods of how we fight climate change and how we're able to go green, so to speak. And this is what allows Africa to lift up their curse. So Africa as a continent, any nation that formed in Africa had a curse upon them. And what I am seeing is that curse is coming to an end. With this new Green Revolution, it's going to be what's propelling. It's going to be the life in general in Africa. It's going to be a lot better. So when I refer to Africa, I mean the continent and the countries that are in there. The reason why I got Africa in particular, I'm not sure yet. We're going to answer this in today's video. If it's like all the countries unify as one, potentially go under a federation of some sort, even like an organization similar to NATO or whatever it is. When I say Africa, I don't mean it in a way of like trying to be like mean or like ignorant. I'm not trying to. I'm just exploring everything, and just happened to be that it just says Africa as an entire continent itself. All right, so Spirit Angels, Tommy, tell us something positive about our climate in the future. What is it going to look like? What is it going to look like? So I just saw the lightning card, and I've seen so far with the lightning card is that we're going to have an abundance of energy from climate change. So you might even get free energy, which might be a very good benefit going forward Okay, I don't know what just happened. The internet just dropped. I apologize. I'll edit that out later. What I've been seeing is that we're going to have free energy, potentially. And that could be very beneficial for when fighting climate change. So you might be looking forward to not having to pay your electric bill anymore. All right, what else, Spirit Angel? What other positive stuff that we need to know and look forward to in terms of our climate? Okay, so we have Vision Quest, deserts. So I feel like some areas are going to be artificially wet. So by artificially wet, I mean that we're going to be able to create climate that normally wouldn't be areas that are normally dry or arid will now become wet and moist. And that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing we're going to be doing that artificially. So when we create an artificial climate that normally is not natural in the way that it occurs. I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to create artificial climate. So potentially if you live in California, for example, it's possible that you guys could end up having this technology to change California to a more wet, more moist environment rather than the one that is currently right now where it's very dry and arid, where it causes wildfires. So this might be a way for us to fight climate change. What else, spirits and angels? Okay, we've got two more cards here. Shaman, ancient healing wisdom. Okay, so remember I think I told you guys this in the past that Black people in particular have some sort of spiritual genes in them, and that they're gonna bring back Native Americans. Now I did say the Native Americans were coming back, but I didn't tell you exactly how. I just said that the genes of the Native American, the spirit, is gonna live on with their bloodline. It's gonna take a very long time to be come back. So for example, just say you had an Asian in your family, right? But you're majority Caucasian, but you don't realize that maybe during the time your ancestors were related to Genghis Khan, but you kept having white babies. Eventually, it's possible theoretically to have an Asian baby with two Caucasian parents that share the same ancestor like Genghis Khan. So it's possible that Native American can make a comeback even if they've been completely wiped off the map. They can make a comeback, and it's through our blood. And so we have here the ancient healing wisdom. And what I'm seeing here is that there's going to be a lot of spiritual evolution that brings forth in terms of positivity about our climate. So as more things start to arise and more natural disasters start to strike our Earth, we're going to start to wake up. And that, again, like I said many times on my channel, that a lot of the energy that is being burst into our atmosphere, the energetic compound that is released, is what rises our ascension level and our wokeness level. So a lot of us are going to start to become more woke. If not, if you're already woke now, you'll become more spiritual and you'll be able to hone on your gifts. You know, underneath this as well, we also have solitude. I am sent. Okay, I don't know what just happened. It just locks me out. I apologize. So I'm gonna try to do as fast as possible. If you may have not remembered, I talked about I'm seeing some islands going under. However, I do see artificial islands, so artificial climates and things that normally wouldn't be there arising. So I would definitely expect more islands to be re-emerging from the waters potentially. Even that I'm also seeing artificial land masses that wouldn't be there naturally and is created by human nation, a way to fight climate change or direct current of water, like almost like a jetty, but kind of like make a big island just to kind of limit the flow of the water and the current and the wind current. So that's what I'm seeing here in terms of that. This again was replied to the more natural disasters that occur, the more spiritually awoken that we will be. I hope you guys can see me and hear me clearly. I do apologize again. I'm doing tests in the background while this is going, and it's telling me the internet is perfect, so I don't know what's going on. It's connected directly to the router, so I don't know what's happening, but I apologize. Okay, so what is the Green Revolution and why does Africa play a role? Is it the continent itself or will they unite under some federation of some kind? So that's what we're going to ask right now because we already discussed this in the past, so let's explore this, right? So Spirit Angels tell me, what is the Green Revolution and why does Africa play a role? We got Mother Nature here, okay. Okay, what is the Green Revolution? Let's ask that question first. Let's answer that. Ooh, okay. All right, so the time is coming to an end in terms of the era that we used to live in. So, you know, like the era where you go out, you buy your home, with studies on a stable ground, you have concrete and stuff like that. What I am seeing as we start to advance within the next couple of decades, we're going to move away from buying our own homes. And we're also going to move into more mobile homes. So, for example, one of the ways to fight climate change would allow people to live in a location, but just say there's a natural disaster occurring, those people will no longer lose everything. They will just take their home up from the ground and just drive to a state where it won't be affected by that particular natural disaster. So we'll start to adapt more climate change and methods that will also simultaneously help people in terms of the long run when it comes economically beneficial. We have the hermit card reverse, unpredictability, challenged by nature. Right, we have Mother Nature, which is the Empress card here. And what it's telling me here is the unpredictable climate. And that is what's going to propel us into the Green Revolution. We're starting to experience it now, but it's just going to become more and more common as we start to enter more into it. On this side here, we have big waves, unsure of whether or not certain areas, very high populated, highly dense cities are going to go underwater. So there's going to be a constant threat. So people will be in very high support of this revolution occurring. There will be more um in support in particular of helping the environment in some way. However, what I will warn you, what I have seen in the past when I did read on stuff like that, I did see corporations faking to be economically friendly when in reality it's financially friendly. And by that I mean, for example, donating your genes and stuff like that to companies, and then they upcharging you the same price to sell you those jeans back after they use it. Those are companies not reusing or recycling. Those are companies who are taking the jeans for practically for free, remaking it, reusing the product, and selling it back for you at a higher price. That's financially not right. And they're doing that on a continuous basis. They're expecting you to give everything to them for free, even though you just pay for them and they want to sell it to you at a higher price. And so that's what I am also seeing here, that there are going to be some illusions of, oh, hey, look, I'm economically free, like, Coke, like Coca-Cola, they have their bottles going to be start becoming more green to get that appearance of economically eco-friendly, when in reality it's not eco-friendly. They just give that image because when you slap something green on something, it becomes eco-friendly. You start to associate green with the earth. But if you slap red on it, it doesn't necessarily have that same correlation. So it's kind of a manipulation, so to speak, right? Under the Hermit card, unpredictable climate, we have here the Ten of Wands here. And one of the positive parts of the Green Revolution is that we're going to have a lot of people with amazing ideas starting to come forward. So people who would normally put other people down because of their particular ideas will start to be able to have their voices heard finally. And so we will be able to fight climate change in a way that we have never even considered at this point right now when this video is done had ever considered before. I do see here nobody's staying at home. I do feel like there's going to be mobile home. That's what this card means here. And we have the Ace of Swords here. There's not a sure victory, but for a lot of people, I am seeing that we're going to realize that we can't fight nature, which is why the sword card is reversed. However, we have to learn to live with nature. So that's what we're going to. It's not clear, but all right. We're going to have to learn to live with nature. That's what this card is really telling us, is that we can't fight it. You can't fight it, learn to live with it. And that is kind of the motto here that I'm seeing with the Green Revolution. The bottom here is the Sun card. And the kind of the Sun card is that we're going to start to adapt a more time frame, making maybe potentially instead of an artificial sun, we might make an artificial moon, which would again put forth so there's gonna be a lot of artificial things going on. We have artificial land masses. We have artificial I forgot what it was, but we said something about artificial again, and then we have artificial sun and the artificial moon. I am seeing the moon here as one of the big cornerstones to kind of cool down Earth. So in some areas there's going to be a big moon, but it's going to be artificially done to create the time frame. Oh, artificial climate. That's what we're talking about. But anyway, artificial moon is going to allow those particular regions to be more cooled down instead of being really hot. Whereas other areas are going to be really hot because of the sun, so that they can grow stuff. So I would definitely expect that time is going to be no longer different. I would not be surprised if sometime in the future that all of us are going to be on the same time frame, using the same exact time cycle and everything, and just be all connected intimately because of our artificial devices and sun and moon, that we no longer need to tell time based on the actual orbit of the sun and the moon. However, this will lead to problems when it comes to people questioning what is real or what is not. But we'll talk about that in another video. Okay, so is it a continent itself, or would they unite under a federation of some sort? So we're asking, what role does Africa play in this? Because I do see Africa being the center stone here. If you're not familiar with Marvel, if you have ever seen Wakanda, that's the kind of energy that I get from Africa, like a very advanced, highly advanced African unity, really, so to speak. A very advanced African civilization. Spirit Angel, tell me, what role does Africa play, and what is it, like a continent that you're referring to? Is that why I'm always using the word Africa, or is it like a federation, the African Federation? Like what is this? Why did they play a major role in the Green Revolution? Okay, I heard they're here to guide us because they have a lot of experience with nation. They're able to connect better than the Western worlds. So, like Western nations, like the United States, for example, Europe, they have more of a connection to nation. That's what I'm seeing here. Yeah. All right. So we have here is that a lot of the people in Africa, it's going to be one of those particular areas where they won't be threatened by climate change in terms of, things moving, things changing, being flooded and stuff like that. I don't see that for Africa, which is why Africa would be the perfect testing place to start climate and starting to test a lot of methods to help fight climate change. That's one of the main reasons why Africa is the main role here. Under here, we also have here Queen of Cups. They're going to also somehow figure out, in terms of Africa, how to be able to bring water out of nothing. It's almost like, in a way, they're going to somehow create a machine or technology that allows us to have drinking water from the air. So you basically take the air molecule, take whatever water is that's there, and then create water from air, almost from thin air, basically. And so that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing one of those really highly advanced technologies that we have is we have the luxury of creating water without physically needing to be any close to any sort of water reserve like river, lakes, um, ocean, stuff like that. That's what I'm seeing in terms of that. But this is also going to be what's help us potentially get onto Mars and be able to start a civilization on Mars. This green particular revolution that's going to occur. On the left side here, is we have is already starting to occur already, which is why this card comes up. Is that there are a lot of people who have great ideas who are geniuses, but by the Western definition, it's what considered because they don't have an education, it's illegitimate. When in reality, these people are highly intelligent, even with or without education. If you take, for example, a lot of the geniuses like Albert Einstein, for example, he really didn't do well in school, but yet he had a brain that no one ever had. So very similar to the way African people are in Africa and the those regions there is what I'm seeing that they have a highly intelligent brain and it helps them with the not only highly advanced spirituality, but they're also deep connection with nature. So they're able to create ideas and be able to create good ways using the resources that they have in order to create reservoirs of water from thin air. And on the right side here as well as we have a lot of people going to be a lot more happier with Africa. They're going to recognize that they should have given Africa as a continent and the region there, the countries and the people who live there a chance, a fighting chance. Because look at all the people here. Because of Africa, they saved Earth. They alone saved Earth. And a lot of reason why Africa saved Earth is because of everything that they went through from the colonization through migration from the development of human all the way up to Europe and all those type of things to you know uh the breakup and major dynasty to major empires. That's what I'm seeing here, that the curse is coming to an end for a lot of people in Africa. And because of that, they're going to start to lift up in terms of the status quo, and they're going to be able to what leads us into the next stage, the next step of ascension, really. Because if you look here, you have this dry arid land, but right next to it is an artificial landmass with water that's created, but they're able to create almost like a hologram type thing, where they're able to create artificial climate, artificial land, artificial everything. And this is what helps fight climate change, is by creating artificial things. And that's what I'm seeing for Africa, that they're able to create such a thing that the world has never seen before. First, people are going to say, oh no, this is fake, this is not real, and stuff like that. People are going to doubt this technology and say that it's not possible and that it's not going to work and that people there don't know what they're talking about, that the scientists. And so I would expect a lot of publicity from our news sources here to say that it's not a good idea and stuff like that. But that, again, is just people trying to spread propaganda. So that's what I'm seeing in terms of that. In terms of the Federation, I don't necessarily know. It has not answered the Federation question, so I'm just gonna say it's the overall region. So it'll be every African nation within Africa is what's gonna be lifted from the curse, and that's what propelled us forward. Okay, I'm gonna move this down here. All right, so how is Africa able to help us? Let's see if we can get any more extra information. Then we're gonna cover the elements. ask Spirit what they want to add into this reading. Then we're going to leave off with a message for you guys, so you guys know what you need to do and focus on after you finish this video. All right, so Spirit Angels, tell me, how is Africa able to help us as a collective? How is Africa able to help us as a collective when it comes to the Green Revolution and help fighting climate change? How does Africa as a continent and as a region, a federation of some sort, help save and start the Green Revolution? Well, how are they able to help us? Can you give us a little bit more information? Okay, this is why they're going to have a lot of propaganda. This basically explains it. We have temperance. The way that we used to do things is not the way that we're going to need to do it forward. So, for example, what I'm seeing here is that, like, in terms of the medical field, we have the temperance card, and the temperance card tells me it's reversed. A lot of the reason why we have a lot of the problems that we have and issues is because of the creation of pharmaceutical companies. And so what I'm seeing here is that we're going to have to go with, instead of more of a pharmaceutical like pills and syrup and stuff like that, we're going to have to take more of a holistic approach, the same way our ancestors did, because that is more eco-friendly than just say the pharmaceutical companies that are created in a factory and spitting out pollution into our own air and noise pollution and stuff like that. That's what I'm seeing here in terms of the reverse temperance card. What follows underneath it is the end of a capitalism. It's the end of an era. It's the end of an economy. It's the start of a new one. So basically what it's saying is that it's the end of economy in terms of it's the end of how we handle money and how we do our transactions and how we do things. So what we will say here in this case, it will be our maybe potentially we no longer print money, but instead we use them virtually. So it's a seismic shift and we become more friendly to Earth. That's what I am seeing here. We're going to have a lot more in terms of eco-friendly when it comes to economy. Maybe potentially we no longer will tax items or ingredients that are made to be eco-friendly, where we may heavily tax items where they are not eco-friendly. So, for example, a plastic shampoo bottle would be taxed a lot more than if you just got an eco-friendly shampoo bottle. That's why I'm seeing it. That there's going to be a tax on certain goods and there will be a tax on no goods. So, kind of very similar to that. On the left side here is we have the Five of Cups and it's upright. So what it kind of feels like, it almost feels like Africa is its only chance left for Earth. So potentially we might be in the same predicament where, it's very possible that every other continent around the world may suffer due to ignorance and the lack of technological advancement and experience with nature that they're unable to fight it. However, Africa, due to their experiences and kind of seeing how other people from other countries and other regions interacted with nation, how they tried to fight it, they used all that knowledge and information on how to create an ability and be able to create a network on how to fight climate change using based on past things that other areas and other regions around the world have tried to use but failed to do it successfully. On the right side here is we have the Judgment card. No, it's not Judgment Day, okay? It's not the end of the world. It's a very positive reading. What this is telling me here, in this particular card, is telling me that because it almost feels like in some way, in particular region, like I said, the continents will fail to be able to fight climate change. I feel like a lot of them are going to be on a boat of some sort or hiding in bunkers, and they're going to be brought out, almost like, oh my God, so the world didn't end type of scenario. That's what I'm seeing here. That there's going to be a shy belief that the world is saved. It's only going to be like a celebration of some sort. Yeah, like that, a celebration of some sort. That is why Africa is able to help us based on previous experiences that they have with the climate. All right, so how are the four elements doing? Air, fire, water, and earth, along with living things. In order for us to get a clear, accurate interpretation of what's going on globally and be able what's going to occur on the Green Revolution, we're going to discuss each element very briefly and kind of see how they're doing. So the first one, obviously, as you all know, this is alone right here. Hold on. This is Earth. So this is the element Earth. This is living. So living but animals, right? So we have the animal element. this, I couldn't find something for fire elements, so I used sex tower deck because that has a lot of fire and passion, so I figured that might be a good element to use. We also have here plants, so this would be kind of telling us how nature's feeling on a level beyond the terrestrial aspects, which would be the earth magic, which is more terrestrial, whereas the other one is more plant-based. And we also without forgetting, we also have the water. So we have the oceanic tarot. So this is how we're going to use to be able to read on the water element. And the lastly but not the least, I wanted something really light and airy. So I got my pure white deck, which is kind of, a very high resemblance of wind and air. So this is the air element, the white sun tarot deck. So this is how we're going to read on the different elements. So let's take a look on our first element, which is air. So let's use that deck then. We're going to use air to kind of see what elements and how that's doing in terms of Green Revolution. How is air, the element of air, doing? Spirits and Angels, tell me, how is the element of air? How is air doing elemental wise? How is it doing during the Green Revolution? Is it getting better? And one more. Okay. Okay, so let's take a look at the air element here. Okay, so we have the Ace of Wands here, which is desire, inspiration, weakness. Six of Pentacles, kindness, charity, generosity. Three of Wands, creativity, expansion, growth. And then the Lovers card, love, relationship, balance. So in the past year, I kind of see that we were going through an ice age. And so air was a very dry and cold environment. So I'm kind of seeing here that this is in the past. So what it is telling me here that yes, indeed, it is confirming through this reading here that the air is going to get more hot, it's going to get more warm, it's going to get more humid, it's no longer going to be freezing cold all the time. So you can expect during the Green Revolution that we're going to start to enter a time period where winters and cold is going to start dropping in temperature. So maybe we may have a couple more decades of snow, and then we may no longer have snows in certain regions, like New York may no longer have snow and may become more warmer, very similar to Florida. We have here as well as we start to enter into this new phase in terms of the air climate. We have the Six of Pentacles, which is kindness, charity, and generosity. I do feel like, again, we're going to be able to create something from the air that's going to become solidified, something that becomes solid from the air. So again, this could very well be hinting at the water creation, creating water from air. Right, that's what I'm seeing from this card. As for the future of the air element itself, we have the Three of Wands here, which is creativity, expansion, and growth. We're going to be able to, again, like the card said here, we're going to expand. We are intelligent to be able to expand how much air we have. So potentially in the future, we're going to be able to have more oxygen levels than we have now currently. So potentially we reverse our CO2 emission, or maybe we figured out how some way to grab them away from our atmosphere and turn them into oxygen. So maybe we might be creating artificial trees. I'm also seeing in my head right now like a machinery where it is extract CO2 from the air and omits oxygen levels, and so it rises. So I do see in terms of the Green Revolution aspects, we're going to have more oxygen than we currently have right now. And on the right side here is we have the Lovers card, which is the love relationship balance. Because of the air aspect, the air element here is going to be more balanced. So you're going to be able to breathe a lot better. You're going to be able to, feel a lot more. You're able to get more crystal clear breathing. And some of you guys may no longer have asthma. Some of you guys may no longer have to deal with that pollution in the air. It's just going to feel like almost like you ever had crystal clear water that has not been polluted, just tastes so good on your lips. Kind of like that, but breathe in. Right, that's the air element. Let's take a look at the fire element. Now, I'm not going to show it to you just because I know that some people have kids that are watching, so I'm just going to describe what I see. And we're going to use that. The reason why we're using this deck here is because sexual magic is oftentimes depicted as fire. And I need a fire deck, so I thought this would be the best way, as passion during lovemaking is very fiery, right? So, Spirit Angels, tell me, how are the four elements doing in terms of fire? How is the fire element doing in terms of the Green Revolution going forward? What is that going to look like? So the element of fire, the 4 elements of earth, right? How is fire doing? I hope you guys like this video. Don't forget to give the thumbs up, a like, and subscribe. And let me know in the comment section below what you think of today's video. How's fire doing, spirits and angels? Okay, they told me to flip the deck, so let's take it. Okay, one more. 2 more cards, spirits. Give me a pass. How's fire doing in the past, and how is it doing in the future? And how is it doing in the future? Fire doing in the future. They flip the deck? Okay, how is it doing in the future? How's the fire element doing in the future of the Green Revolution? So it should be less fire, though. Maybe volcanic eruptions and stuff like that, but it's just natural. That's just natural stuff. Okay, let's take a look. We have the Queen of Wands here reversed with the 5 of Wands upright. We have the 1 of Ace of Pentacles reversed. And then we also have here, we have the 7 of Swords reversed. And that's why we have that. Okay, so basically what I'm seeing here in terms of the fire element is that a lot of what's occurring in the past here is that we have a scenario where it was raging very rampant and almost like there's some love-hate relationship, but it's able to roam freely without any sort of what's the best way to put it? What I'm seeing in the card here, I almost feel like the fire is able to roam freely without any sort of guilt. Right? It's able to spread, it's able to be created from thin air, and it doesn't feel any sort of guilt for what it does. Right? That's the element that I've seen in the past here. In the present here, in terms of fire element, we have is the Ace of Pentacles. And what I kind of see here is that there's lack of understanding of what creates fire and why it even occurs in our own reality and the color that it creates and why it needs oxygen in order to thrive and be able to spread. Right? It almost feels like there's a way here in terms of fire element that we're able to cap it. We're able to cap fire. Potentially, maybe we're able to cut off oxygen. Maybe we're able to create an artificial machine that omits instead of oxygen, it omits CO2, which is the exact opposite. So maybe there's a machine that allows a reversal. So if they say there's something going on, they just emit in those particular areas a high density of CO2 up into the air, and it decreases the longevity of the fire from spreading. So, for example, California, right? That's what I'm seeing in terms of the middle card here. So that's going to be a very brand new technology that might come out in the future. In terms of the future card here is we have the Queen of Wands reversed, which is a lot of fire. It's gonna lose a lot of its passion in terms of how it's being perceived. So potentially it's not going to be able to spread as much as it used to in the past. Right? It's going to be more of a controlled environment. We have here as well, we have the 5 of Wands here. What's kind of telling me there's going to be occasional people potentially lighting it up. I'm also seeing that there's going to be accidents where people are going to have like devices where it's very reflective. So you kind of see here, you kind of see the mirror on the bottom here with the fire. It's going to be very reflective. So that light is going to reflect and cause the fire, spark or something. But it's not going to spread as much. It might have some sort of power to it, but it's not going to spread. I don't see it going to be anything major. So in terms of the fire element, we got the fire element down. We have the air element down. Let's take a look at how water is doing in terms of the Green Revolution. Right? Okay. Let's see. How is water doing? We're going to be using the Oceanic Tarot deck here. They kind of get the element of water. Let's see what's going on there. Right? All this is not to fearmonger you, get you scared in any way, just to bring light and awareness and give you hope that the future is a lot brighter than other people are telling you. Okay, so Spirit Angels, tell me, how are the 4 elements doing? How is the element of water doing during the Green Revolution? How are we handling water? How is the water element doing? Okay, that was a lot. Okay, let's take a look. You have a lot of reversals here. Okay, this is good. All right, so we have the 10 of Pentacles upright. We have the reverse 3 of Cups here, which is reunion. We have the Nine of Cups here reversed, which is a witch. We have the reverse Queen of Cups, which means sensitivity here. We have here reverse King of Cups, which means understanding. The Ten of Pentacles upright, it means luck. And this card here means loyalty, Knight of Pentacles. Okay, so here's what I'm seeing for this reading right here. Okay, so the Ten of Pentacles is what represents the water element here. Luck. We're going to be a lot better with water. We're going to be able to control our environment. Now, if you're not familiar, I had mentioned a while back with evolution and everything, but I said that in the past when I was reading on a mermaid, that mermaids don't exist. Particularly when I was talking about Atlantis. So Atlantis were people. They were not mermaids. And when I was reading, I did see that in the future, though, we will have mermaids. They just won't look like humans. They won't even look anything remotely like Ariel or anything like that. They will look like more like a beluga whale than they would like a human. And so what I end up coming to the conclusion here is that I actually found out after I said that, you know how YouTube or like Google picked up on your voices and they kind of show you things that you did and shows you proof or whatever. So there's articles coming out now about semi-aquatic humans who are learning to adapt in water because of the high rising of climate change that's causing them to adapt more of a web between their fingers, be able to web their speed, so they're able to swim and become more efficient swimmers while simultaneously holding their breath for 12 minutes underwater. And so a lot of these people live in like, islands like Bora Bora, Malibu, which I'm not sure that is an island, but if it is, then yay. But there are islands there who are causing semi-aquatic humans, which technically means that even if we all get wiped out, not all of us will be wiped out because a lot of us have the ability and the luxury to go underwater and become semi-aquatic humans. So really what we are right now are terrestrial humans, where they are semi-aquatic, which means that they live on land and water. We have here on the left side here is we have the Three of Cups reversed, which means reunion. In terms of reunion, it's reversed here. It kind of tells me that in the past we may have some issue with water, right? We may have found ways to adapt to our own environment, very similar to the Arctic, where they have like a water around their building to prevent flooding and stuff like that, or like high rise gardens where they rise above water, but they never like totally being flooded or stuff like that. We also have here as well, we have the Nine of Cups here, which means a witch. It's reversed. It's no longer a witch, which is why the card is reversed here. That is now becoming to fruition here, which is why the luck card is here, right? It's in our favor to get what we asked for in terms of our green revolution. I do see in terms of the water element here that we're going to experience a lot of positivity on how we handle water. Like I said earlier in the video, that we're now able to, with African technology that's going to be created in the future, we're going to be able to take air and be able to create water molecules from air and be able to drink from that. We have the Queen of Cups reversed, which is sensitivity, right? It feels like we're no longer be sensitive. And I think this again relates back to the earlier reading or the earlier question where I talked about how we're no longer going to be in stagnant homes, like kind of what your parents are growing up with, but maybe you have brought home, but are kind of on a concrete, they're not mobile. Where I do see here again, we're going to be less sensitive to nature. Whereas they say that a natural disaster, instead of you losing your home, you pick up everything that you have and you leave with your house with you. And you're like, ask them, well, how is that possible? Just look up tiny home. That's how it is. And so that's why I see we're going to be less sensitive to natural disasters. And we're going to start finding methods on how to fight in one of those ways, again, mobile homes. Now, as for the right here, we have understanding. Was it the King Cup? But I did not see before. I don't know how that came about, but I guess that it's there. We have the understanding card here. And so on top, it's reversed because we don't quite understand yet why nature in terms of the water element occurs. So we kind of at this point, we're still understanding. We don't have the full knowledge and capability to understand how to handle water at its fullest point. However, we do have here the Knight of Pentacles here, which we're able to create connection with animals. So a lot of animals are going to be what's helping us, guide us, and how to be able to do things. So potentially it may not be necessarily a direct thing where animals just directly guides you. Potentially where we look to animals and how they adapted to certain situations like this, and kind of see how can we adapt to those certain situations. So that's what I'm seeing in terms of the water element here. Let's take a look at the earth element. How is Earth doing during the Green Revolution? The terrestrial aspect, not the living things. Okay, let's take a look. How is terrestrial Earth doing? How is terrestrial Earth doing, Spirit Angel, during the Green Revolution? How is terrestrial Earth doing during the Green Revolution? That's what I thought. This card came up before. This is this is beautiful. Yeah, okay. This is beautiful, gorgeous. I love it. Okay, so we have here the earth element here. So we have creation. So we're going to be able to understand how things were really created on a deeper molecular level. And so we're going to be able to start creating things that we normally would have never existed. Right? That's what I'm seeing here in terms of the creation card. We're going to be playing God in some way. On the left side here, we have artificial islands again. So one of those things in terms of the new future, in terms of Green Revolution, it's going to be solitude. We're going to be creating artificial climate, artificial land masses to allow us to be able to still live a terrestrial lifestyle while simultaneously becoming semi-aquatic. We do have here underneath the creation is ocean, ebb and flow. So we're going to be able to live more with the ocean. So potentially some of us are going to be more adapted to the ocean. Some of us will have home by the water. And it will just become more of a peaceful time. You know, because the closer you are to water and the closer you are to nature, you're going to be able to adapt in a way that normally you're not very used to or very familiar with. So I do see that. But some of you guys are going to be living on mountains or very tropical regions like Hawaii or some climates very similar to Hawaii. I do see that here. We have here as well on the right side here is we have the grounding, which is reverse. And you kind of see here, we kind of have the grid, this artificial grid that is created, like artificial land. But some of you guys are going to be living in a scenario where you're going to be living in an all-natural environment that was healed back to the way it once was before any sort of human pollution or anything like that had occurred. What I'm also seeing here is rather some of you guys are going to be living in a virtual reality where you think this world looks just like the way it was in the past, but you can't tell the difference between your realities. And for some of you as well, I do see here that we're able to create artificial land and, you know, climate that causes this to bloom back up. Right? Same thing what I've been saying before. We also have here metal, vulnerability. And the metal card here in this aspect is kind of just symbolizing the birth of something new, right? When there's a flower, something new is arising, something is pollen, something pollen, you know, they're attracting new bugs, new stuff like that. It's just perfect. So now with that, the flower card, I think the next thing that we should read on in terms of the earth is we should read on living plant matter and how they're doing in terms of the Green Revolution, right? A lot of things are going extinct, and I'll do a video on that alone, but we'll see. How is plant doing in terms of living things? Spirit Angels, tell me how are plants doing in terms of the Green Revolution? I'm almost done covering climate, but we get back to politics soon. Sometime in April. Okay. Interesting. Do they go extinct? Okay. Interesting. All right, so we have a little bit different than what we normally used to. In terms of living things are going extinct, as you all know, have I mentioned that? We have moth. So we're going to get like a brand new insect that normally hasn't been here that's going to be reemerge. So potentially it could be an ancient thing, there could be an ancestral thing where they go back to the way they once were, and they revisit their ancestral past by reforming themselves and transitioning themselves back into those evolutionary traits that their ancestors once had that they got rid of over time, but they did not need them. So we're going to have a brand new animal. We're going to have brand new species that never have existed before reemerged, and a lot of them are going to be very similar to the ancestral past. So we're going to take a look back at history, but right in front of us. Because of the warming climate, we're going to start to see how animals once lived in the past, be able to understand nature in general. We have the fireflies, right? It's kind of telling me here that there's going to be light even in darkness. So potentially we're going to be able to provide in terms of insects, we're going to be able to use how insects, particularly fireflies, create their glow naturally without having to use any sort of artificial means to create it. So we might even like extract the glow directly from fireflies, but we may have to be very careful how we extract that because that can cause an environmental catastrophe. It's possible as well that we study them and create it artificially, and then we're able to have light artificially, but without like having any sort of environmental harm. We have here is fog. And the fog is kind of telling me that some areas are going to just be extinct. Some animals, some plants are just going to die. Like they're not able to survive in a new environment. What we do have here as well is the reason why they're here is because there are a lot of those plants are underwater and they cannot survive in water because they can't photosynthesize because they're terrestrial plants, not underwater plants. And we have here the dust card. So I do see here that we're going to have longer times. So I do expect our hourly schedule from 24 hours 7 days a week to expand to about 28 hours or something like that. It could be a longer time period in terms of days. We do have here under here as well. Can I ask, does that mean things go extinct? We have the hyena card. So it kind of feels like in some way, the way that we used to have mammals are going to go extinct or it's going to re-evolve into something more dangerous of a species. Again, this is an evolutionary pattern of traits that they go back and revisit the ancestral past. We have here night blooming water lily, right? And so what this is kind of telling me here that we're going to be able to find ways to be able to create brand new species, a brand new plant species in particular, from water. I don't know how that's possible. There's a way that we're able to create brand new living things just from water. So potentially maybe we're able to extract DNA from water molecules that once passed through living things and be able to bring those things back. We also have here ocean. I do see here that there are going to be more carnivorous or carnivore type plants. So a lot of those plants are going to depend on eating carnivores or animals or like bugs or stuff like that. I also am seeing here as well. I'm also seeing animals or even plants where they have that flare in the neck to kind of threaten and they kind of like spit. That's what I'm seeing here from that photo as well. I'm also seeing like a skunk. Instead of having a spray, it's gonna be a venomous spray from the front instead. So that's kind of interesting. This is not something to be scared of. This is just evolutionary patterns and evolutionary traits just being developed in just to be able to help fight and be able to adapt to the new environment and be able to protect themselves from brand new predators. Okay, so that is the plant aspect with the bugs. We're gonna take a look at the mammals. I promise you that we're done. I'm gonna do a pick a card. I will pick a tree message and you get a message from you guys. Okay, Spirit Angel, tell me how are the plants doing in terms of the green? How are the animals doing? The mammals, all those type of animals doing during the Green Revolution. How are they doing? How are they doing? Okay, they told me just to use these cards. Okay, so we have fertility. So during this warming of the climate and this brand new way of Green Revolution, there's going to be almost like a rebirth. A rebirth of something that had never existed before. So it's going to be where we're going to be able to create artificial climates that are able to save endangered species and be able to bring them back by allowing the environment to be back by artificially creating them, and so they're able to bloom and be able to blossom. So a lot of these animals are going to live with ancient creatures to have one died who has been re-emerged in their ancestral past. And so they're going to re-emerge with their ancestral evolutionary traits that they're going to be brought back. And so these animals, these new animals that we have now are going to be living with the animals of the past. And they're going to do coexistence simultaneously together. So that's what I'm seeing in terms of the wisdom card with a lot of fertility. On the right side here is we have wisdom. Right, a lot of knowledge. We're going to be able to understand our own history because of what's going on with the mammals and humanity as as well. We're going to understand how humans became into development and how humans actually formed. So I would not be surprised if we actually end up in a scenario where intelligent life is formed besides humans. So we might have another intelligent life, and I do feel like it's going to come from theropods. Now, if you're not familiar with theropods, are they dinosaurs? Well, they're not necessarily dinosaurs, they're birds, but are technically the direct descendant of dinosaurs, particularly like the Tyrannosaurus rex, the Velociraptor. What I'm seeing here is an owl with intelligence here, with a book, and I'm seeing intelligent life forming besides and walking besides human. Potentially, this owl, this picture here, could be extraterrestrial life. It could be the original formation of how human evolution evolved. So we're going to be living with another species that's going to evolve naturally, and we're going to be able to understand how humans were created. And because of that, that's going to bring forth some freedom. We're no longer going to be living in this religious temperament where we're not able to understand our own creation. I just see here in terms of this freedom card here, look at the third eye, look at the horse here. We're able to have our third eye open. So because of the mammal here, you're all going to be able to connect with nature, but you also have strong intuition. And I don't see anybody hurting each other. It's just if they need to hurt each other, it's just because they're hungry, but they're never going to hurt somebody on purpose. Right? We have rejoice here, a reconnection of some sort. So that's what I'm seeing. Seeing again the path, the ancestral animal coming back into through evolution, reverse evolution, while our current animals are the endangered animals are going to maintain themselves due to artificial land masses, artificial climate change, artificial water, all those things are going to be able to work safely with endangered animals. And while simultaneously that same thing is occurring, we're going to be able to have animals re-evolve back into their own ancestral path. And in a sense, it's going to come together where they're going to be able to live simultaneously together, while also we're also going to experience a brand new intelligent life species of forming on Earth itself, and it's going to come from the birds lineage, which is going to be walking along humans and want to be able to understand how humans originally were created through that evolutionary process of birds becoming intelligent, highly intelligent, developing a conscious of some sort, which is now I'm gonna have to really explore because that was interesting, beyond interesting. Never expected that. All right, so before we end today's video, we're going to do a pick a tree message. So I'm gonna get some trees with messages inside. You're going to close your eyes. You're gonna breathe in, exhale for a couple of minutes. I'm gonna grab a couple of trees, put 4 out, and you're gonna be, feel it in your heart what you really resonate with. You could pick all of them. You could pick one. You could pick 2. I don't care. It's up to you. Okay. Spirit angels, call me. Okay. Whenever you're ready, close your eyes. If you need to breathe in, you can hold your breath. Hold it. Hold it. Now slowly exhale. Breathe in. Hold it. Hold it. Now slowly exhale. Now you have here is you have 4 different trees. Now one of them is a red here, which is a bell, but I assume this is a warning for one of you guys who picked it. Or it might not be. It's nothing bad. There's nothing bad in the message here. But you have tree number 1, bell number 1, well, bell number 2, tree number 3, and tree number 4. So close your eyes. If you need more time, you can pause the video or we can begin. So for some of you guys who have picked the first tree, this is your message from Spirit. Oh, look, you got like 3 messages. So it must be a lot of you picking this one. Okay, let's see what it says. It says here, it's not the load that breaks you down, it's the way you carry it. It's not the load that breaks you down, it's the way that you carry it. So really what Spirit is trying to tell you here is like, it almost feels like in some way you are absorbing energy and you're trying to say, oh, well, I should stay away from this person because every time I'm around them, I'm I'm absorbing their bad energy. But really what spirit is saying is that you're not breaking it down the way that you should be. You're not protecting yourself. You're not doing all those things. So what spirit is trying to tell you here is to do those things. Protect yourself. Help yourself. Don't absorb those energies. When people try to relay a message onto you, like for example, my friends sometimes when they when they become too much for me, I just tell them I can't really help you. I don't want to absorb those energies. And so if I were you, I would talk to your therapist about it. Because sometimes you cannot be, you can be friend with people, does not mean you have to be their therapist. Sometimes people don't realize or understand that they think you're their therapist when in reality you're not their therapist. So you do not have to in any way hold on to other people's problems. It is not your job to sit there and be their therapist. If you want to be their therapist, you should be getting paid. And I feel like you're absorbing unnecessary energy that you do not need. So another message for some of you guys as well is we have here, you don't know what you're getting yourself into. Okay. That sounds more like a warning. But you don't know what you're getting yourself into. So whatever the first thing that popped in your head, it feels like spirit is telling you that you're not ready. But whatever it is, you're not ready for whatever that is. For the last one here is we have here, it is not who I am underneath, but what I do that defines me. Bruce Wayne. It's not who I am underneath, but it's what I do that defines you. So really what it says here is what it's really trying to tell me and tell you is that it's kind of almost like, you might have this saying to yourself or you tell others all the time that, sometimes it's your personality that matters most instead of the exterior when it comes to talking to people. But really what spirit is trying to tell me here is that sometimes the way you look and the way you look on the inside does not really matter. What really matters is the character of your own action. It's what you choose to do that really determines who you really are and whether or not you really grew. And so that's what spirit is trying to tell you. So hopefully that message resonates with you, tree number one. So for those of you guys who have chosen spell number 2, this is your message here. They want you to know that you are worth more than your darkness. And so what they're trying to tell you here that, even if things are getting bad, even though when things are hard, they just want you to know that things are going to get better. And that, in order for them to get better in the first place, you have to acknowledge yourself that it's going to be okay. And once you tell yourself that it's okay, you're going to evolve a lot, become a lot better as an individual. Another message for you as well is, let's see. Dream about your ideal life. Focus on if until you know exactly what it looks like. Then wake up and do the one thing to make it become a reality. So really what your spirit guides are trying to tell you here is that they want you to first think about your dream. So think about manifest it. Manifest what you want in your life, right? It's telling you not to give up, which is why it comes in the form of a bell because it's a warning sign. It's trying to wake you up. Right, a bell is what rings you up. Ring, ring, ring. It wakes you up. Right, alarm. Right. So really, what guides are trying to tell you is to dream about it, think of it, focus on it, and then when you really understand what it is that you really want, go out and do it when you wake up. Do the one reason why. Like for example, I wrote down a couple of years ago when I was 11. I'm 21 now, so about 10 years ago, I wrote down I wanted to become a YouTuber. Right, it took 7 years, but one day I just said I need to do it, and ever since then I have not looked back. Look where I am right now, talking to you, giving you the same exact message that I did back then. What I wish I had known wouldn't done it sooner, but it's sometimes things happen for the way they do. Some of you guys may have not been following me or listening to me because I would have been 11 doing this YouTube channel and I would have been very immature with a lack of experience. But now I am 21, going on 22, and I'm going to have a lot more experience. So, Spirit is just trying to tell you that just live your best life and understand if it does not happen right away, there's a purpose, there's a reason why, right? So, one of the messages for those you guys who have chosen tree number 3. Here's your message. Your angels want to speak to you. So for some of you guys, I also feel like this is what I'm sensing here. I feel like for some of you guys, you may have somebody who recently passed away and you've been trying to get in contact with them or communicate with them. Spirit guides are telling me that they are answering your messages finally. They hear you. They're listening to you. They hear what you're saying. And I'm getting that. I feel like some of you guys as well, you may need to communicate with them by getting a psychic or talk to them directly, whatever method you choose to do. However, they have a message that they want to deliver to you. You also have here as well for tree number 3 here is if you cannot figure out your purpose, figure out your passion. For your passion will lead you right to your purpose. Learn to fight for yourself, which means fight for your happiness. I think that's self-explanatory. I didn't even need to explain that. If you cannot figure out your purpose, figure out your passion. For your passion will lead you right to your purpose. Learn to fight for yourself, which means fight for your happiness. So I hope that resonates for you. For those of you guys who have chosen the very last tree here, this is your message. Take a look. Eat a banana. Okay, for some of you guys, I feel like you guys need to go more eco-friendly. For some of you guys are not doing eco-friendly. You're not being kind to Mother Nature. You might not even be kind to you. I do feel like you need to start adapting more soul food, things that satisfy your soul, instead of eating things that just don't keep you satisfied. I also have a feeling some of you guys are eating bananas. You might be had banana bread particularly, or banana pudding. We also have here as well is we had, even if you hear a bad story about me, understand that there was a time I was good to those people, but they wouldn't tell you that. Even if you hear a bad story about me, understand that there was a time I was good to those people, but they wouldn't tell you that. So for some of you guys, I feel like you're struggling with your image, your reputation of some sort. I feel like for some of you guys as well, you might be spreading accidental rumors or gossip from other people, thinking that they're true, but in reality they're not. And really what Spirit is trying to tell me here to you is that, sometimes you just need to trust that these people are good, even if they appear to be bad. So whoever that comes into your head, that's who it is. I feel like for some of you guys, it's a coworker. Somehow, for some reason, I'm getting medical worker. They might be working in construction, nursing particularly, even physical therapy. But I'm seeing like construction suit, like a yellow vest of some sort. Potentially, it could be a worker at Walmart. I have no idea, but that's what I'm getting. So anyway, guys, thank you for following, and thank you for being a great family here. Thank you for liking, subscribing, hit the bell icon. Thank you all so much for tuning in and being live with me. Hope you all have a very beautiful day. I hope those messages resonate with you. Let me know in the comment section below what you do think. Other than that, have a very beautiful night, and I'll see you soon. Bye.